air and claim your freedom waiting there.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Coffee in the Corral. However, today we are coffee right outside the corral, and I have an amazing person with me today. Kristi Spencer is coming on my podcast. I'm really excited. And we're sitting underneath the trees near the chickens, and you should be able to see, if you hop on the video, you should be able to see the horses in the background. They're taking a nap. So, hi, Kristi.
Hi.
Thanks for coming this morning.
Thanks for having me. It's beautiful, beautiful way to spend the morning.
It is. She was amazing, folks, because we had this plan for 10 o'clock, and then I got up and looked at the weather, and you guys probably know Missouri. I don't know. Do you ever get used to it?
Well, it's hard to get used to something that changes. I guess you just get used to change.
Okay, so you just get used to the chaos then. Yeah. Because I looked at the weather, and I was really just looking at it to see how hot it was, and all of a sudden this huge thunderstorm pops up, and it's like hitting right in the middle of the podcast. And Kristi, I emailed her, I was like, oh my God, like, should we just reschedule? Do you want to come earlier? And she was awesome. She just changed her schedule and showed up exactly at 9 o'clock. Okay,
I'm so proud.
I just want to say she is the owner, and you do it all, right?
Yes,
she does it all. The Polite Company. She has her own company. She teaches etiquette. It's more than you know. She's going to share with us about it today. But I was like, look at that. I mean, talk about etiquette. 9 o'clock sharp. She pulls up. She had to rearrange her whole morning. I'm just saying, I'm impressed.
Oh, well, no problem. I was glad to do it.
So tell us a little bit about your company. Let's start there.
So the Polite Company I teach etiquette. So it's an etiquette coaching service.
Okay.
So if people maybe want to work on their image, they want to learn about social media etiquette, they want to be able to sit at a meeting with clients and not feel conscientious about what fork they're going to use and wonder about those kinds of things.
Oh, okay.
But my real concentration is in business etiquette. So to help businesses and to help employees either kind of carry on the culture of a company or create a new culture of a company, just kind of creating some of those standards and doing some coaching to let people know this is the way that we're going to represent ourselves and how we look and how we write, and here's how we're going to thank people, and here's how we're going to treat one another in the office.
Wow, I did not know that aspect, because I've seen, and some of you guys might have seen, and if you haven't, you need to follow her. I will put all of her information in the show notes, but I've seen you give these value and these tips on different, you're on, what is it, WS, and like where do I see all these video clips?
KFOR in Oklahoma City. I'm on their show once a month, and then I'll go down to Fayetteville and do their morning show down there too.
That is cool. She's always giving tips, etiquette tips, and I didn't realize the business thing though, so that's like helping businesses. So does it help them to follow their core values, or is it more just about like image and making sure everyone's on the same page with like how they're perceived?
I think it's the on the same page kind of thing.
Okay.
Because if I say to you business casual, you may think that's one thing, and somebody else may think it's another thing. And especially when you have kids who are just getting out of college, we can't assume that they know how to write a business email. That's a lot different than a text message.
Right.
And we can't assume that they all know or they all feel comfortable networking with other people and doing those kinds of things. So I think it would be so important for businesses to offer that to their employees.
Yeah, so it would make it so cohesive. Mm-hmm. You're not just having the older people doing it this way and then the younger people that have no clue, like you're saying. So so you go into companies and like you teach them like hands-on.
Yes. So I'll do hour-long, I'll do lunch and learns, I'll do half-day trainings. So really kind of whatever they need. And if it's ongoing too. And sometimes people just want the one-on-one training as well, because sometimes the leaders, they've gotten this far in the company, but they've really never had to put themselves in a situation where maybe they didn't feel comfortable.
Oh.
Or again, it's a generational kind of thing.
Yeah.
So how do we work best? You know, are we texting? Are we emailing? Are we using some sort of internal messaging system?
Yeah.
So, and these aren't necessarily like HR issues, but they're little things that in your day somebody doesn't say hello to you. Somebody else doesn't return your call.
Yeah.
Somebody else sends you an email that has absolutely no, niceness to it at all.
Yeah.
And you come home and you've had a bad day.
Yeah.
And so I want to try to keep that from happening as much as possible.
Yeah. And I think that's offering such a beautiful thing to these businesses too, because it helps them to be able to have all of these employees kind of on the same page, operating the same way. And that's good for business, because I know when I'm ordering from somewhere, let's just say buying something or even going in a store, the way you're treated and the cohesiveness, they're well, that employee was really nice and this one treated me like shit or whatever. Okay, how do we get all of them? Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah. So, and it can really, help businesses tremendously with clients and with the outside, but the internal. So think about, there's 12% of the people who leave a job have left it because they are consistently treated rudely.
Oh, wow.
That's a lot of people.
Okay.
And it's hard enough to get people now. So, and rudeness is 100% curable.
Good point. Good point. Let's repeat that. Say that again, Kristi.
Rudeness is 100% curable.
It's 100% curable. Wow.
So, yeah, that's what I love to do.
That's so cool. It's one of those things that's you would think it would be simple, but it's not. And it's probably really complicated, working with a lot of different people and a lot of different, do you have that within that where you have a bunch of different opinions, or do you not get much pushback?
Well, I want to see what the company's, values are. And a lot of times I'll do that from observing, not necessarily asking them, but I'll watch, what do their job ads look like?
Okay.
How do they present themselves? And even when I do image coaching, I will go to someone's Facebook, their LinkedIn, and those kinds of things. And that's the first thing I assess in an image assessment.
Okay.
Because that's how people meet you.
Yeah.
We don't meet people face to face.
That's true.
And so how do you look, social media wise?
Right.
And, are those pictures on there really the ones you want on there? Or, and so I try to observe a lot and see what they're putting out there to see, maybe how it's being received. Customer reviews are
that's probably very
big
insightful.
Yes.
So you kind of know what you're getting into a little bit. So you delved into it, and then that is very cool. So how long have you been doing this?
I started this in 2021, as many people did. We decided to, everyone change your life in COVID.
Right.
So I was one of those people. And then in 2022, I started working for myself full time doing it. So a little over a year doing it. So.
How's it going as far as getting business and getting the word out and all that stuff?
The word out is hard because I'm continually, when I meet people, they'll say, I didn't even think that was a job, first of all.
Yeah, sure.
And I had no idea somebody here did that. And so, but I never leave, a networking event where I don't have somebody's number or somebody hasn't said, I think this would be a thing. So it's just trying to have enough time in your day to be at all those events.
Oh my gosh, I hear you.
To make the meeting. So I'm thrilled to be on your podcast and reach more people that way.
Thanks. So. Awesome. The networking thing, God, that's a lot, getting out there and trying to spread that, and hopefully we're going to do a little bit of that today. So with that, what are some of the things that people get wrong when they assume what etiquette is? How's that even a job? There's so much to it.
So I think etiquette has a little bit of a, reputation problem. For some people and some companies. Yeah. But what it is not about excluding other people. It is not about making somebody feel less than so you can feel more than. It's most definitely not pointing out somebody else's poor manners. And that's what I tell people. That's the rudest thing you can ever do.
Good point.
Is to point out somebody else's poor manners. And that's why I think so many people have kind of a icky feeling about etiquette is because at some point in time they've been made to feel less because of the fork that they chose or the way that they did something. And then you just kind of think, well, it just doesn't matter. I'm just going to be myself. And, that's people are just going to have to take it or leave it. Well, that's not the best attitude to have, And so But I think people think like this is old and it's outdated and it's only for rich people.
Yeah.
And it's about keeping your elbows off the table and putting your pinky out when you drink tea, which you 100% shouldn't do.
Okay. Glad to know. I'll stop that now. Get my pinky down. Not with coffee either, right?
Never. So it's just like, you're just saying, no, this is everyday interaction stuff. This is you and me talking. This is you and I on the phone.
Yeah.
This is the letter that we send to each other. This is customer service.
Yeah.
This is getting along with employees. It's everything. And so when people will say, I have an etiquette question, which are my 5 favorite words, people they're not asking like, earth-shattering questions here, but it's something that's gnawing. It's in the back of their mind. Like, did I do that right? Or should I have done it differently? Yeah. Or what's the right thing to do? And really, the little actions that we take don't mean all that much. It's really how you make people feel. And
how you make people feel.
Yeah. And you feel confident enough in the interaction.
Yeah.
You know what fork to use. You know which one is your bread plate. You know which one is your drink. You can concentrate on whatever's happening in front of you.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But it's not old.
So, because I think, because this is the misconception. Like, I'm like, okay, etiquette, prim and proper. That's like right where my brain goes to, and like hoity-toity, and that whole thing, like it lends to that. I don't know, maybe that's just because of how it's been used in the past, maybe because the rich people talked about.
And in movies, when you see, different things like that, it's really perpetuated about, somebody has to go to school to learn how to, be more charming and to have finishing schools and those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And this is just, and there are people who do that. My kind of etiquette is just much more practical.
Yeah, it seems like it. I mean, like it's the everyday things. So what can you tell people? Because, and I want to make sure that I'm getting this straight. So like people that, and this is something like I'm really big on, I talk about a lot on my podcast, is like learning to honor yourself. And so in a situation where you need to respond back to somebody, but you've spent your whole life, like me, pleasing people and doing what they want you to do and doing what makes them happy, how can you respond without, like you're saying, just saying, oh, well, what the hell, like, you just get what you get and don't throw a fit or whatever, but like, respond in a way that can be honoring to you, but that you're not compromising yourself just so that they're happy, but then you're like a disaster inside.
Right. So I do something I call empowering etiquette. And so
I love that.
That is how you learn to say no to an invitation, how you learn to stand up for yourself, how you learn to respond to nosy questions, and those kinds of things. So my thing is, being polite doesn't mean that you have to be a pushover. It doesn't mean that you have to say yes to everything or agree to everything. It means that you know the right way to disagree or to interject or to stop somebody from interrupting you so that you don't kill the relationship.
Okay.
So you know how to do it in a soft, gentle, respectful way, but you're still respecting yourself. So,
and it seems that if you learn that, then you can be confident in how you respond. Like, to me, I get caught off guard, and when I get caught, it's like, and that's when I end up compromising for myself because, don't want to hurt someone's feelings or whatever. But like, it seems that would be really valuable to have those tools in your pocket to be able to, when somebody says something, you're like, I know how to respond to this. I've been practicing.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
and you do have to practice it, and so
almost like role play. Would you do?
And so when somebody asks a nosy question, what is do as I say, not as I do. But I found myself just this week. Somebody asked me really like kind of a pointed, none of your business question, and then I sat there and tried to explain it.
Yeah.
So instead of just say, I said, I teach this stuff.
Yeah.
And then I said, why don't I say, my standard line is, oh, why do you ask?
Oh, wow. Probing, kind of putting it back on them.
So, and then maybe that gives them kind of a gut check, like, maybe that was not a good question. Or you actually get the real reason behind why they asked that.
Oh. And then let's say you decide you don't want to answer it, so what would you say to that?
I just said, why do you ask? And then say, because I wanted to know. And you're like, well, sure, maybe we had something else to talk about, or, and I think humor helps. And be like, you know what?
You probably don't want to know.
I got secrets you don't even want to hear about, or I'm way too busy working on myself to be able to think about that. So, yeah, I just think that we just have to be okay with not giving the answer and not having. I think we should always have the conversation, but we don't have to make excuses. We don't have to tell everybody.
We don't have to explain things that we don't want to explain. That's hard. I find that so hard, and I talk to a lot of ladies that struggle with the same thing, like over-explaining and feeling indebted to, explain why we're doing what we're doing, and so everybody understands. But I think some of that is an attempt to hold on to relationships and hold on to acceptance and love and all that, and it's a fear of losing that or somebody disapproving that you like. No, understands. Still love me. I'm lovable, and I'm coming to a place in my life. It's like if people don't love you just how you are without all those explains, then you're not worth all of your time and effort to over-explain anyways. Move on. There's somebody else that will be okay with that. And I think that's also a good test for people is if you can set a boundary and be like, actually, I really prefer not to talk about it. Can we talk about something different? And if they're like, well, then you're horrible, then there's your answer.
Thanks for that time saving.
I've got. I can go now. That's awesome. I love that. Empowering etiquette. It's just got my wheels turning. That's very cool because, growing up in a very religious, strict family, it was all about discipline and respect. And so for me, sometimes those things feel triggering, like to have to behave. It all, feels like be good, behaved, look good, do good, all of these things that it's not taking care of what's actually going on inside the human. And so it feels really cool to hear about like etiquette is not about being a pushover. It's not about saying yes to all the things. It's about how to say no. How to still,
keep that relationship intact.
And look respectful, not all of a sudden turn into a bitch or something on the spot.
And sometimes if it's done right, you'll actually progress in that relationship because now they know more about you, know more about what they're questioning about. And so it doesn't have to be this, meltdown and something that we think about days and hours later, and I wish I would have said this, or I wish I wouldn't have said that.
Right.
Just kind of have a plan and know where you're comfortable with people before.
That is really cool. Have you ever done a one-on-one coaching with empowering etiquette? Because I could see so much value in that.
I do image and branding, and then the empowering etiquette around that.
So that's tied up into all of that.
And that's a one-on-one course that I do either in person or virtually.
Okay.
I've only had women students so far, but we talk about things like when somebody says, "Tell me about yourself." What do you say? And a lot of them. They don't have an answer for that when we first talk about it.
Yes.
Because when that comes up for them, they just clam up. And
freeze up and they don't know how to.
And I'd say, you know what? I've got all day. We're going to figure this out. We're going to figure out what you're going to say, and we're going to practice it, and we're going to write it down, and this is going to come out of your mouth so easily the next time you're at an event or you meet somebody. I said, it's so important, I mean, first impressions mean a lot.
I know, it's unfortunate sometimes because, you're not always prepared, like you're saying, but to be prepared, because that is the thing, those first impressions. Like you can never have a conversation with somebody and still get first impressions and be like, the vibes are not working for me. So that's a no. And you never give the person a chance.
We like to say, well, we shouldn't judge people and we shouldn't do that. We shouldn't, but it is human nature. Yeah. I mean, we're too far down this road of evolution to go back now. We had to decide, friend or foe.
Yeah.
And so we still, have those things that happen to us just naturally. We can't help that.
And I mean, I think our instinct is, are you safe? Are you safe? And so we have to judge. We have to look at this, first time you're meeting somebody, because you're trying to decide, am I going to continue this conversation, this relationship, or are you not someone that I want to be around? So I can see how that would be really valuable if you're out in the public, especially, and wanting to make a good impression on people. That's so cool. Here I am. I'm saying I'm going to talk about etiquette the whole time, and now I'm just like super excited.
It's infectious, I know.
I will say, I was a little nervous because I was like, okay, I'm having somebody come that's this etiquette professional. I was raised in a family of 9, like we homeschooled, like there's so many parts of me that feels like I'm still trying to catch up to society, like learning how to put on makeup at 40 years old. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's so many things I feel behind on, but yeah, I remember the first date I went on with my now husband, but I was so nervous because I eat really messy, and I like my food gets everywhere, and of course I'm just super nervous. So I hardly ate. It was salad, which is terrible because like there's lettuce smearing dressing everywhere, and I remember we had this huge appetite, and he never used his napkin. He never got any food anywhere on his face, and I was just like, oh my God, I'm a horrible person. I'll never be able to eat around him. And so I've just always been the person that's never been super, I don't know what would be. I don't know what the right word is, but
it can be daunting. And I know people, kids in college who have never attended an event where there was going to be food because they were so self-conscious about eating. And I work a lot with college students as well. And so, and I'm like, I'm not here to teach you what fork. I mean, yes, I will teach you that.
Sure.
I'm just here to give you the confidence to do it because you're missing out on way too many things.
Yes.
And when people have anxiety, or the people who have anxiety, about 20% of them have a huge fear of eating in public. Either because they're afraid that they'll be corrected, or they're afraid like they'll physically maybe choke, or something like those kinds of fears. And so, and I think anxiety is huge in our society now, and being recognized.
Yep.
And when I heard that, like 20% of people are afraid to eat in other people, in front of other people.
Yes.
We got to change that.
Yes, because there's a lot of eating events, and food is good. So
we have decided this is what we were going to do for everything, is we're going to eat.
Yes, exactly. Let's see. What should we do? Let's eat. That's awesome. That is really cool. All right, so tell me a little bit, maybe just about you. Like you've done this for the past couple years. So what have you done previously? Maybe.
So before that, I was in television news. So I was in local news for about 25 years.
Have you been in this area your whole life?
No. I came here in 1999 for a job.
Oh, okay.
I had my 2-year-old son with me at the time. Did not know a soul here in Joplin, Missouri.
Wow.
And then a few years later, I met my husband, who had gone away and then come back home. And then we got married, and then we've stayed. And then I've had family that my parents have come to live with us. Live in the same town, and my niece lives in Neosho, actually. And so it's kind of where.
So they kind of followed you slowly. Mm-hmm. Where were you previously? Did you from up north, or you?
I grew up in a teeny tiny town in Kansas, like 800 people.
Wow. Okay.
My dad was a farmer. We lived on a farm. We had horses.
Okay. All right. We're gonna hear these stories.
And then my dad got a job with the State Department, and he was needing to do something different. Farming was really difficult in the 80s, and so he got a job with the State Department, and we moved to Washington, D.C. while we did training, and then from Washington, D.C. we went to Tokyo. So
good grief.
I went to high school, finished my high school in Tokyo, Japan. So from 800 people to 26 million people.
What?
And of course, I thought in the beginning, like, this is the end of my life. All my family's here, all my friends are here. And then,
it would be hard at that age.
14. That's a difficult age for that kind of change.
Yes.
And then, of course, I absolutely fell in love with Tokyo.
Did you?
Loved it. Mm-hmm.
How long were you there?
3 years.
Did you learn any of the language, or
I learned enough, to kind of get by.
Okay.
But I went to an American school, so everyone spoke English.
Okay.
And then the language that I chose as my second language to learn, because we had to choose one, was Spanish, which makes total sense when you're living in Japan.
I get it. It makes sense.
Who wouldn't? It came in really handy there.
That's awesome.
So then I came back to the States to go to college, went to college at KU.
Okay.
And then got a job while I was still in college at a TV station. And
Was this always like TV was always something you were, okay.
oh, I love the sound of my own voice. I would record myself. You've got a caterpillar on your shoulder.
Oh, hey there, buddy. It's about to go off my shirt onto my neck. Hey, let's relocate, shall we? Thank you, Kristi.
Just before you felt that.
My friend, yeah, I would be like, ah! Those little suckers too. I think they bite.
Oh,
Those white ones. I don't know why. Anyway, sorry. I'm sorry.
no, that's not. I just want
Thank you. So you love the sound of your voice.
Yeah, and then I would record my voice. I wanted to be Connie Chung so bad, as most girls growing up on a farm in Kansas do. And so that's what I really wanted to do. And KU has a good journalism program.
Okay.
And so, in high school I was a DJ at my school radio. And so
cool.
And here's the thing, is it was the first thing somebody ever told me I was good at.
Okay. That made a difference.
Yeah. And then, I had a high school teacher. He said, are you thinking about doing this in college at all? Because you'd actually probably be pretty good at it. And that was really all I needed. I mean, I did like it. And then I had that validation from somebody else.
Yeah.
And so then I did it and worked in Topeka, Kansas for a few years. And then got a call for a job here. And I was like, yes, I would like that job, but here's a couple things. A, you have to be over 45 years old to get that job. And B, you usually have to be a man to get that job.
Whoa.
And I was 25 at the time, single mom. And I had a college professor who said, just go. Just see what happens. What's the worst that can happen? And so I came here and got the job.
What was it? What was the
So it was a news director. So a news director is somebody who is over an entire newsroom. So you hire all the reporters, the anchors, the producers, the weather people, the sports people.
Oh my
So
goodness.
you hire and supervise them. You do, talent contracts. And then you just oversee the newsroom. So the stories that are done in a day, just kind of the inner workings of that, which was great until I started taking etiquette classes and I learned that you could do something else. And I really, the positivity of being able to teach people and help people was just hard then to deal with not so positive things day in and day out in a newsroom. And I was just kind of burned out. 25 years is a long time.
You did for 25 years. Mm-hmm. Wow, Kristi.
Yeah. So make a change. I mean, totally different.
Yeah,
things.
I'm like talking about like near.
Yeah.
So what got you on that? How did you even find this etiquette thing?
So I've always loved etiquette. Somebody sent me a letter that I had written them in high school, and it said, well, I need to get my Christmas cards done now. Who in the world in high school has a Christmas card list?
I can't even pull that off, Kristi. I'm not in high school anymore.
And so, but I've always just loved things like that. I love entertaining. I love, and when I say entertaining, it's probably a little bit extra that, it would need to be. But I like making people kind of feel special. And so I always liked that. And then Emily Post was somebody that I looked up to, and I was listening to her great-grandchildren and they have a podcast where they answer etiquette questions and, family problems and things like that. And during COVID, we weren't going anywhere. So I said, I'm going to take this etiquette class. I've been saying, my husband was like, thank God, you've been talking about this for 10 years. Just do it already.
Really? So you had it kind of on your radar.
It was like bucket list was to do this.
Okay.
And I wanted it in person, but of course that wasn't happening. And COVID made it just so that, but I did it virtually and still felt like I, really got to know them and really it was just one-on-one teaching.
Yeah.
And then I decided, I got to do this. I can't stop.
You just fell in love with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow. So was it hard quitting your other job, or
no.
Moving on.
Don't miss it at all.
Moving on.
No, yeah.
You were ready.
Yeah. I was prepared, and so I don't think you're ever ready to, and you think, oh well, okay, I can work less. No, wrong answer. You don't have your own business that you're trying to grow.
Oh man.
There's no blueprint for it. that does not make for shorter days.
No, it's like, oh, have you ever your own schedule? Yeah, which means I never stop.
Yeah,
because
right.
that's hard to manage.
Yeah.
Wow. That is so crazy. That is a very cool. So Tokyo for 3 years.
Yeah, I think that might have fueled some of my, just the interest in how people do things and how
culture.
It's different.
I'm sure you had to go into a completely different culture. Was it, learning how to be, did you have to become a part of their society in some way, do things differently, or just it was interesting to see?
If I'd had the wisdom even a little bit of what I have now, we were 15-year-old kids. We were taking advantage of everything that we could there. But there were some wild just some wild times.
Yeah.
It's just a totally different scene in a big city. But it was, you definitely, some things stick with you.
Yeah.
They don't eat while they walk. If you eat something, you can get something from a vending machine, but you stand there, you eat it, you throw your trash away.
Really?
And then you continue to do. They're very, very polite. And at least when I was there, hardly any crime. Because there was such a stigma for your family. If you
did something, it was like your whole family paid for that sort of thing. Oh.
And so just some of those kinds of things kind of stick with you.
Yeah.
But you're like, it's different than America, but that's not to say that here in America we do things the right way.
It's not to say we can't learn things from other countries.
Yeah.
For sure. That is very cool. Very cool. So, I had this funny question sitting and thinking about this morning. I was like, I wonder if having a polite company, does that make you feel like you can just never let your guard down?
100%.
That would be hard.
I'm like, here I have painted myself into a corner again. Because as a news person, you have to be unbiased. You have to, everything you do has to be, you should be honest in that thing. But there's no room for error because everyone's gonna know it.
Yeah.
And so now it's the same thing with the etiquette, because I just want to go to the store with my cutoff jeans and the t-shirt on and run in. But I think, that's the time I'm going to see somebody. And they're like,
exactly.
Well, she doesn't look very professional.
Oh my God.
So that's why I think, gosh dang it, I did it again.
Yes. And it would be the time that you run in 5 really big business people.
CEO or
Oh my God. Yeah, that would be difficult.
Yeah, and you certainly can't be rude. I've thought about, should I get a bumper sticker, that says my website on my car or something? I'm like, no, probably not. It's not always, I'm not always waving with all 5 fingers.
I should have told you could come in your jeans and
Yeah.
You can be safe here. It's okay. That would be so hard. Oh my gosh. I was thinking about when you're saying that, you teach this stuff and then you found yourself, you were trying to over-explain to that person, the truth is, it's I don't know, at least for me, the things that we're passionate about and we try to share, for me, those are the things that I'm not very good at. I'm trying to work on them, and so I can say all of these things and just wow, that was super profound. But then then I go into my everyday life and I'm like, can I apply that to myself? I need to take that. It was good stuff and use it. And it's just it's the things of we are human, and the truth is it's we need each other. So knowing all of this information doesn't mean that you can just, now I have it all, I am it all, and I need nothing. Needing each other and being able to be look, I got your back. I can encourage you when you're having a hard time, but I could have the same situation happen to me and be I have no clue what to do.
Yeah.
I am clueless.
Right. And but at least we can do it for other people. It would be a shame if we couldn't do it for
right.
we couldn't do it for other people. It's a gift.
That's true. And that's true. And I always think about that, like, some guy, gosh, I don't remember his name, but I should, because it sounds rude, but whoever you are, you're awesome. It was on one of Brene Brown's podcasts. He wrote the book on habits.
Atomic Habits.
James Clear?
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. He was saying that because she's like, so you must, she was like, I'm embarrassed because you must have all your habits worked out, right? And he's like, actually, I read this book because it's what I was trying to work on, and I'm always trying to work on my habits. And so how do you allow yourself to have times just like, do you have to get away from everybody to be able to just feel like, or just your people maybe?
Yeah. I mean, I feel very comfortable. I mean, I have my family. That's who I always feel the most comfortable with, you know, and I'm really a hilarious person, but I can only be that way around my family.
Yes.
You can only, those are the
really
people
let down.
Totally let your guard down and be silly and be funny. And I have a 26-year-old son and 17-year-old son, and the 17-year-old son is just so over me. I mean, it's like, like at least once a day, he's like, why can't you be normal? He's like, why do you have to be so weird?
I have a 7-year-old son too. He asks me the same questions.
I don't like to just say something. I'd like to sing it to him instead.
That's awesome.
I mean, and he's just like, I'm just a goober.
Yes.
And he's like, why do you have to be so weird? So he's a huge, builds up that ego.
Yeah.
I try to say that my family definitely keeps me humble.
That is so awesome. Yep, I'm the same way. Goofiness, I tell people that, like, having fun and being goofy is my coping skill. Mm-hmm. It's really how I am able to cope with life and make it through life and love my life, Mm-hmm. Why be serious all the time? That is extremely boring.
Well, and if I was super etiquette all the time, it would be zero fun.
Zero fun.
So you gotta let loose. And there's times, we always need to be kind. We always need to be respectful of people, and those kinds of things. But we don't always have to be formal.
That's a really good point, because I think that could be a misunderstanding too. Well, I don't think it's important to learn these things because I don't want to be this way all the time. Like I said, no, but these are important things to have. They're tools that you have. So you can go out into society and be respected and not be misunderstood because you didn't know how to respond to a situation. That makes sense. So, Kristi, how do you care for yourself? What are some of the things that you do to make sure that, because it's crazy running your own business, I understand that, and sometimes we can be so working on this that, at least for me, that it's easy to neglect. I'll take care of myself later on. Yeah. So how do you make sure that you take care of you?
The thing I like to do the most is I like to cook. And again, I'm still doing it for other people. Yesterday I cooked all day long, and it was fantastic.
It was a wonderful day for you.
It was. That's the best. I started making dinner about noon.
Wow.
And
but it's your happy place.
Yeah. But I love to cook, and I love to do it, for the people I care about. And I think, because we hadn't seen each other for a while, it's so busy.
Yeah.
I thought, I really want this to be special. And it starts being special when you start to put that care in, to things. So I love to cook, and then Netflix, a little time alone. And
where
then
you're not having to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, but other than that, gosh, we're out there, we're on social media, we're making the calls, going to events and things like that. But I need to get better about the networking. You would think, of course, that I'd be great at that. But it's hard to get up and get out.
It is. And to know which, for me, it's like, where do you put your energy? Because there's all these opportunities, but where we have a limited amount of energy and a limited amount of time. So where's the best place to put that time and energy so we're not just running ourselves ragged? So good. All right, so let's see. What is one of your challenges right now? Maybe something you're working on.
There's a lot of them.
If you want to pick one.
I think that the challenges now are to really find who I'm selling this to. because I have an idea of who I should sell it to, and I'm not sure, I think HR people, I can take something off of their plate.
Yeah.
I don't get the best response from HR people.
Yeah.
And so now it's just kind of, I need to get over word of mouth, and that being the best way that people hear about me, and find there is no Etiquette magazine or Etiquette Today. So I do the media stuff that I do, does kind of help with that. But, just reaching people, because I think that there's value in it. It's just getting over the misconceptions and letting people know that somebody does this.
Right. I find that same thing, and it's interesting because, it's like when I talk about with freedom for the taking, like helping people to be able to, discover their value and create lives they love, and it's this thing of like, when I tell people about it, they're like, oh, that's so cool. All right, see ya. It's like, I don't know what people picture, but nobody pictures that it's them. Right. Like I said with the HR, like, it's this thing that the value, you have this vision, you see where it could be really helpful. But then you trying to get that message in a way to people that they understand, that they can grasp. That's the hard thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, what I remember, because you gave me your kind of bio and everything, is that you talked about playtime. And I was like, I don't know that I have ever thought as an adult about playtime.
Oh.
And so that's what stuck with me. Was like, oh, you could just go play. As an adult.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that stuck.
That was the one thing. Yeah. That's really cool. I love. Like I said, being goofy is my thing. I did a teamwork building thing for the Alliance recently, and that was really cool because I love to get adults in situations where like you bring out toys and you start like, okay, we're gonna do this, and get in teams, and like you watch this. It's like you can see it in their eyes, but this part of their brain lights up that they haven't accessed for a long time, and all of a sudden, just like having a bunch of kids, and the energy and the happiness that's all of a sudden flowing, and talk about like helping organizations work together. Like suddenly they're doing teamwork and they're laughing instead of always having these really hard conversations and trying to like, oh, you're my boss and I'll listen to you and all of these things. Like it takes away that aspect and it offers them this opportunity to learn to be together in a way that doesn't feel threatening. And so I think the play aspect is a forgotten part of our society, and it's like, man, and it's kind of like the etiquette thing, like that's not taught. These things that could really help people to thrive in their everyday lives should be taught in school. These should be just the everyday math, English, etiquette, play, like that. But that stuff gets like, well, that's not as important or whatever. And then we end up with adults that have a hard time coping and have a hard time out in society. And like you said, the anxiety is rampant. And these are things that could really help people to, and this is my biggest thing, is like you can actually thrive in your life. You can have a life that you love, that you're thriving in. And part of that would be, a huge part of it would be building the confidence in who they are. And I think your company would be extremely helpful with that, because people could be like, I struggle, I don't know what to say in this situation, I don't know what to do here, and have those actual answers. Like this is not just some vision you're giving people. Like these are practical, you can go home and do them right now and things will be better. You'll feel confident, and then the more they practice them, the better they get. I'm excited about that, because I feel like that could be a simple thing that people could add to their lives. And it's not like they have to, go to classes the rest of their life. Like they could get with you, they could have the sessions, and then they're equipped. They're good. And then when they have other stuff, they can check back in. Right. Hey, what about this?
When I do the one-on-one coaching, I really do that for me because I get so much out of it. It like fills up my tank. And so
Awesome.
but I tell the women who typically do it, I said, I hope when you're doing these worksheets, and because we talk, just ask some questions and, fill in some things and kind of look at things from a bigger perspective. I said, I hope when you're doing this that it feels like you're pampering yourself, not something that you have to do or this is required, but that this is time you get to just think about you.
Wow.
And you don't get that very often. And so,
what a beautiful gift.
Yeah, I just hope that just take that and just be able to think about yourself. And we all take those little quizzes in the magazines or whatever.
Yes.
Aren't those kind of indulgent?
Right.
Who has time to do those now?
Right.
And so I really kind of like that aspect of it. Is this is time? This is pampering time. This is extra. This is you time, and you don't have to worry about. Just take 10 minutes and don't worry about the kids. Don't worry about your job or what you're cooking for dinner or that kind of thing. Just think about yourself. And that's a luxury that we don't think about a whole lot.
Well, and it's because I think it's one of those things that we think that is just a luxury, that if we have the time and we have the finances, then we'll fit it in. But it's really important. It's really something like we should, and it's part of the self-care. And I love that you're framing it in that way, because the truth is, I feel like, especially with those one-on-ones, it would be learning more about yourself. Like it is a loving yourself, because you're digging into, in these situations I clam up, and then you can be, why is that? Can we talk about that? And it gives them a moment to just focus on them, to find out why they have those anxious feelings, or why they struggle with this, or why they trip over their words here. Dig into that, and then be able to kind of solve some of those puzzles they may have had their whole life. Like that to me feels extremely valuable.
Yeah, I hope so. And I've had good feedback from the people who have taken the course.
Incredible.
So, yeah.
How can I support you?
Well, this is great.
That's a good start.
The conversation's amazing, and then being on your podcast is even more amazing. So that's great. No, I think just participate, but and tell people when somebody says, this is a problem or this, and say, you know what? There's a lady in Joplin.
Yes.
She's just right down the road.
Yes.
And I'll go places and help people too. So I'm not opposed to traveling.
And you do Zoom, right?
I do virtual.
If you can.
I love the in-person, because we're talking about human interactions. It's so much easier to talk about human interactions when you're in person. But yeah, so the branding classes, those are virtual classes that I do. But for the in-person training, I just don't know the value of sitting in front of a screen for half a day.
Right.
And I really
connect with people better.
I really prioritize doing those in person, just because sense. I could tell you I'll do it and I'll take your money, but I don't think it's going to be nearly as effective.
Yes.
So
yeah, my wheels are already turning. I think I have some people I'm going to be
absolutely
sending your way, and I honestly, I had no clue. I mean, you had mentioned that. You mentioned when we first talked was just that, you had the empowering etiquette idea, and then I didn't know anything else. And so I've only seen these other things, and I've just thought, you know what, this is kind of strange, interviewing someone that I don't really know, but it's exciting because I get to learn about this person. And I think everyone's so valuable and so important, and everyone brings such a unique gift to this world. And so if the more people that I can get to know, the more it's like I get to partake of these gifts. Everyone's bringing their gift to the world, and so to me, it's just an honor to get to know you and hear about what you're doing and your passion, and hopefully support you the best that I can.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I love people.
I do too. And
I can see that.
And people are good. I will believe that people at their core are good, and everyone wants to be liked.
Yes.
They really do, even though it might not show it, but we all have a need to be liked and accepted and respected.
Yes.
And so, whatever we can do to bring that to life, I think is good.
What would you say your message would be that you would want to bring to the world?
My biggest one is that you have a choice. You have a choice. If you dwell in the negative, you have a choice to dwell in the positive.
Wow.
And that's where I choose to be. And it's not because I'm naive and I don't know the bad things. I know the bad things that happened. I lived, through those things for 25 years.
Yeah.
I chose not to stay there. I chose to do something else. And I think sometimes we think, well, we don't have a choice. This is what it is. I don't have a choice. I don't have a choice in how I respond to this person. I don't have a choice in what I do. You have a choice in absolutely everything. And make the one that's going to give you the life that you want.
That is beautiful. That is really, really, truly beautiful. Thank you so much, Kristi, for coming on today.
Thank you.
I have really enjoyed this conversation.
Me too.
I feel like I'm not going to eat probably any better, but but I love it, and I love the whole heart behind it. I feel like is so valuable, and people there's so many different aspects that could be helpful in business and everyday life, but the tie up being the choice thing, like what a cool thing is, because that is true. Like we all have hardships and stuff that we have navigated through in life or are in the middle of, and being able to remember. And that's why I tell people that all the time, like the freedom for the taking is like the freedom is there, but you have to take it. It's not going to come and just, now I'm free to do whatever. Like, no, it's an everyday thing. It's a choice. Like you say, every day waking up being like, I'm going to choose this. And I'm not going to choose to be, stuck or to be in these other, and maybe that's a beautiful thing that people can gain even from learning about etiquette, is like they don't have to be stuck in feeling inadequate and feeling a lack of confidence. They get to move beyond that. So I want to tell everybody you should choose to find Kristi Spencer, because she's amazing. And even if she's wearing cutoff jeans, which I think it'd be super cool. I should have told you. Dang it. Next time, cutoff jeans session. I really appreciate it. I just hope you have a great day. And thanks for coming early and being amazing.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. You're amazing. So
awesome. All right. Peace out, everybody. We'll see you next week. Thanks for coming, and check out all the information in the show notes, because I'll have all the links to the ways to get a hold of this amazing woman. I'll see you guys next week. Peace out.
If I wrote it in a song, would you believe it more? If I busted out the lock, would you open the door? If I dare to speak my truth, would you still value me? If I reach my hand to you, would you reach yours back to me? Darling, there's no reason why you should have to hide. Step out into the open air and claim your freedom waiting there.